Anders. This is a little on the chaotic side because it is pulled from a stream, but I had a really good discussion with chat about the emotional development in the game recently, and I'd be interested to hear what you have to say once you finish the video. So feel free to leave a comment down below once you're done, and I hope you enjoy. Now, it would be really, really cool to see the emotional changes in the relationship, particularly with the guys and how they react with MC and how much it's how much their bond has changed, or you know, the walls that they've brought down for each of them. I think we've seen some of this with Raf and Xavier, but I would like to see it with the rest of them too. Yeah, I think the only one I don't want to see it with yet is Caleb, and it's not because I don't want to see it. I just think for Caleb it's still a little bit early. I would like to go another year with Caleb to see some contrast, give him another chance to have, you know, his main story and stuff like that. And then I would really, really like to revisit that with Caleb. But with Zayne in particular would be really, really good. And I think Silus would also be a really good one to see. Well, I guess those are the only two remaining ones, but Silus, to see it between, you know, long awaited when you first meet him to now would be really, really interesting to see. I want to know how Zayne deals with him being sick now since engraved affection. Yeah. And Zayne too would definitely be interesting. Xavier showed us his meds in Silus with his eye problem. Yeah, that's true. Silus has done more with his eye. He's been more open about his eye. I think that brings back to what Lady said about seeing Zayne, like defrosting Zayne. I know we've seen it a few times. We saw it particularly in the main story with Dawnbreaker, but to have current MC, you know, and there is the Warm Hearts in the Secret Times where she kind of does it as well, but to have it more on like an intimate level would be really, really cool to see, I think. We kind of got that with Silus in this sick card. Yeah, we did. Yeah. I think for Silus, what do I want to see for Silus? I feel like Silus has like a particular one. I'd love to see Silus to show more vulnerability with just normal things, like when he does get exhausted and can't heal as quickly, showing up at MC's place to help patch him up. Yeah, less about his Aether core and more maybe about his use of his evil, maybe. R&B Secret Times, they resonate and the eyes melts. Yeah, but I want to see it like on more like this Ebb or this Rising Tides, where, you know, we get the mix of the sweet and intimate at the same time. See that Zayne allowed MC to help him deal with his backlash. Yeah. Zayne's scars are still vague. Oh, yeah. Getting more on his scars would actually be kind of interesting as well, I think. That would definitely be a wall taken down with Zayne. I think Zayne knows more about his other lives than he lets on. Oh, 100%. He was in the Fractal Library during the wedding card, and at one point opens one of the books and reads about the Foreseer. Isn't being honest about his body breaking down. Yeah. I think that's where Silus would definitely be. I think him being more honest about his body breaking down, or his body not being able to hold whatever is going on with him. I think it's less about him being patched up, though. I think it's more about the Because I think he's used to being patched up. What am I trying to say? Way out, and then I'll explain why my scenario would be slightly. Okay, yeah, okay. The fact that Zayne knows about Foreseer kind of confirms he knows more about. Yeah, I'm just convinced that it's the same. It's allowing her to see that he isn't into that. Yes, that's exactly what it is. It's less about being patched up and like that kind of stuff where his evil, and it's more about him not being immortal all the way, or however the case may be of him not being completely immortal. Which, when I say not completely immortal, I mean like, yeah, he's immortal in the soul way, but his body doesn't always exist, kind of thing. Especially with the antimatter weapons now being existent, which is basically a way that they could break him down completely. And who knows what that could end up doing with the soul in the first place, With admitting being injured, but it's because he knows he can fix it when he finally admits that he's not always okay. That's the big deal. Yeah. I think for Silus too, that could be way deeper than him physically too. I actually think that for Silus, it would be really interesting to see. Talk about headcanons with him losing his Aether Core. Oh yeah, that's right. We did. Oh no, not his Aether Core. I think for Silus also, it's less about physical vulnerability. I think it's more about emotional vulnerability. I guess you could use Rafayel as an example for this as well, with him breaking down the walls during Ebb Day. But I think for Silus, because he's always so he is always so emotionally conscious about how MC is. He's always bolstering her up and making her feel like she can do whatever she needs to, and giving her the tools to be able to, be confident in the same way that he is, as far as like getting work done. That him admitting that he is like actually afraid of losing her, or actually afraid of things going wrong or something like that, I think is way more likely to happen with Silus, because I don't think we see that. We don't see that all too often. I don't think he's too far off from being able to do it, but I don't think that we haven't seen that amount of vulnerability from Silus emotionally. I think I really want a worried Silus admitting to how scared he is about losing. I think that would be the thing I would want to see from Silus is his emotional vulnerability, and him letting down that wall, and admitting about how afraid he is of losing her again. Because I think that's really where it lies with Silus. Not so nonchalant would be something I would love. Yeah, I think that I would love to see that too. Although Secret's kiss conversation after the kindled was way more sweet than I think we needed more of that. Yeah. That was I think something that was really sort of vulnerable for Zayne, for sure. Less about the actual idea of vulnerability, and we love to see vulnerable. There's a few more. There's a few that I don't have that I really want to get to. Something about taking care of capable men, especially when they ask for it. Because they don't ask for it very often. That's exactly what it is. They don't, like, particularly him and Zayne both, They don't ask for help very often. So when they do, it's just so good. It's so good. It needs to happen more often. We've seen so much soft Silus. Yeah, but maybe I just want more soft Silus. I want all soft. Oops, all soft Silus. When they do, baby them immediately. I know, they deserve it. I would, no questions, no teasing, just spoil. Seriously. I seriously would just more of the boys asking for help. Well, I think that's what we were talking about earlier with more of that emotional intimacy. I think we'll be seeing a lot more of it now. I think throughout this entire year, honestly, we'll be seeing more intimacy, more emotional intimacy from the guys, because I think it's about that time in the relationship to get those kinds of cards. And I'm actually thinking about I have to think about MLQC, because after 7 years, you kind of have to wonder, like, how do they continue to make this sort of a thing, make it so that it doesn't feel repetitive. And I think about the one Gavin card that I did right before it cleared, Edge of Desire. And we got a lot of that emotional intimacy still, which I think is something that's kind of a peak thing of I think it what am I trying to say? Emotional intimacy doesn't seem to like get old. Like once it's there, anytime it happens, it just feels nice regardless. It doesn't feel like there's a cap to it, or like, oh, this has been overplayed or overdone. Emotional tears would be nice. Yes. Yes. I would like to see the boys cry. As I don't I don't want to like torture them, but I would like to see them emotional. Silus has yet to give us emotional tears. I have a feeling. I have my theories on the fourth myth. I have my theories on the fourth myth for Silus. And I would be surprised if they didn't give it to us, but have a theory that it is going to be the gladiator. I would be surprised if it wasn't the gladiator. And I have a feeling that it's going to be that, because of how the nature of MC and Silus's bond and how they're supposed to be and their trope and stuff, that it's actually Silus is going to have to actually kill MC this time. But I think it's going to be on accident, or it's going to be forced somehow, or it's not like he's not going to mean to do it, but it's going to happen. And I think he's going to be devastated. I think he's going to be devastated. Nope, I don't want to see Silus cry. I can't handle it. I always say that. I always say I can handle it, and then I think about it, and I'm like, oh no, maybe I can't. Welcome back, lady. That was a very good tender moment. That would totally break this man. I know it would, but I think that's what it's gonna be. We're talking about the emotional intimacy and how it can't be capped, and that we still need to see Silus cry. And then I told them my theory on Silus should have a conversation with her about his weaknesses. Yeah, I think that's the next emotional. I think for all the guys, the next step is emotional intimacy and barrier or wall breaking down in this. And I think we're getting there. I think we're getting there. I don't know when, but I feel like we're on to something. Infold, if you're watching, Infold, listen. We have some solid ideas for you guys. Sense about why he was so excited. Cavalier being out and about during the polar nights. That's true. He does admit it silently, but I think he needs to do it openly. Yeah. He leaves crumbs for her. I think with Silus, love and deep thinking, yeah. So I think with Silus, with Silus and MC, I feel sometimes I hate when I talk about emotional things because I know what I'm trying to say, but it doesn't always come out the way it needs to. Silus forgets, I think, sometimes because he does encourage MC to observe and make observations and guesses and figure things out on her own so much, which I think is good for him, or is a thing that, I mean, that's why I like him, is his ability to let her do her own thing and only helping when she specifically asks for it. But I think he forgets that she also doesn't want to pry into his life. That's not... he wants her to figure it out on her own, but it's his privacy, and I think he forgets about that. But also, I don't blame him for forgetting about that because they do share a soul, and I wouldn't be surprised if a lot of times he feels a lot of what she feels, and so he just automatically assumes that that's something that she should be able to do. But I think unlike Rafayel with their bond, where she doesn't really realize the bond between them, I think with Silus and her kind of connection with the soul, I think she feels things, and it's like confusing to her why she would feel something in particular, but she can't always put a name to it. And I think Silus expects her to figure it out, but sometimes she just can't, and it's like a mix between not only can she not, but she doesn't want to pry into him either. Kind of just end up going around and yeah, because I don't think he necessarily considers it his privacy when it comes right. That's exactly it. Yeah, I get it, because sometimes we love to be loved in ways where the other person is attentive to their partners. Yeah, he quite literally, and I don't think that, I'm not going to say this in a bad way, this is the only way I know how to say it, is he quite literally wants her to be a mind reader, and for all intents and purposes, she should be able to read his mind in a way. But I don't think she fully realizes that that's what she's capable of doing, and he's not necessarily keeping it from her. I just don't think he realizes that he needs to use his mouth for talking. Like in the main story, when she starts seeing visions of her myth self, she'll say, you start seeing more visions like that, don't worry. Yeah. And so you have the cat card, and all he did was leave her a voicemail. So, you know where to find me. Yeah. I think sometimes he realizes that what he can see with the Aether Core doesn't go both ways. Oh, yeah. I didn't even take that into consideration, is Aether Core. That's another level. That's another interesting level, is because he can quite literally see desires. And I wonder if, because it doesn't feel like subconsciously he doesn't realize that the Aether Core doesn't go both ways. I'm wondering if for him that's so second nature, subconscious, that it's just like he doesn't even realize it. Which is nice about the LAs. They're all kind of navigating what each other know and evolving with them. So yeah. And that's really, I think we're experiencing a really neat time in the story of sort of these emotionally branching things, which I personally I love it so much. Love each of the boys' ways of reading MC, and yet they want us to read them with the same way. Yeah. It's kind of interesting to think about how each of the boys, I'm trying to figure out how to... We love the healthy two-way relationship representation in this game. We do. It's interesting to kind of see... It's like, the boys, it's... Okay, they've... The boys have already developed these unhealthy coping mechanisms of their own. And it's really fascinating to see it kind of being reverse engineered in a way. I don't know if that makes sense, but they're sort of reverse, where MC is like trying to figure out who these guys are. They're almost trying to the guys are having to do it backwards. They're having to not start over, but they're having to reset these expectations that they've had, not necessarily in a bad way or a toxic way. I just in more of like a just resetting. Yeah, I don't know. Just having to reset these expectations that they've had in what they expect. It was a way of life. Yeah. It was a way of life that they lived for so long that having to kind of start over. And I can only imagine how hard that is if this person also has the same voice, the same body, the same face, the same hair, all of this kind of stuff. How much that would mess with the brain, What Caleb is associated with, being the same source as her, coming from the same manufacturer. Caleb, I actually find to be the most emotionally fascinating. Caleb to me on a trauma level is actually the most fascinating to me. I've done a lot of research on Caleb and how he acts and stuff because he's actually the most fascinating to me. But it's really interesting to see to kind of dive into these other guys as well, because they all have kind of their own little quirks that they have. Like we knew, Rafayel had his abandonment issues, and seeing him, it's why his Spring and Flowers resonated with me so much, because he's kind of at the end letting go of his expectations, which I thought was so powerful at the end of Spring and Flowers. Caleb as a trauma study is super interesting. Knowing MC, but not knowing this MC, and reevaluating how they perceive MC. Yes, yeah, exactly. Yeah, that's Rafayel's Spring and Flower was one of the most powerful ones for me, because it was like he was like letting himself be able to like let go of the expectations he originally had and like being okay with the fact that he has to start over with this MC, which is so good. It's still the lowest score on the mental health test, and him just laughing it off when his friend says he might be nuts in the head. Yeah, it's so crazy. It's so insane. I love the emotional aspect of this game so much. It's so interesting. I'll talk about how Caleb failed his psych eval 3. Yes, yeah. I feel for Caleb so much. I feel bad for Caleb so much. I can't imagine the level of fear. And what's really interesting between Caleb and Rafayel in particular is I think they actually both suffer with really bad abandonment issues, but the way they both deal with them is significantly different. And it's so incredible the way they've been able to show both this adaptive way with Rafayel of kind of how to deal with this sort of fear versus how Caleb deals with the fear of being in a more maladaptive processing versus the adaptive processing of these two identical ways of dealing with the same trauma. I would love to see a card on how Caleb did learn to regulate his emotions during his time without MC or away from her. Yeah, well, and I think that's why I love Iceborne War so much, because Zayne actually talked about before MC was so emotional. Yeah. I would like to see how they deal with... I'm interested to see how they deal with Caleb, actually. I still feel like they did him a disservice, but I'm really excited to see what they do with Caleb, because MC is his favorite person, and I know what it's like to deal with a favorite person, and it's a very, very difficult emotion to deal with, so it's very interesting. It's interesting to see Caleb on the opposite side. But also with Caleb, I know people give him a lot of for being rough or psychotic, but given all what he's been through, he has shown a surprising amount of self-restraint and control that I don't think would be possible for the average month. No, if Caleb was a real person, he would not be someone that you would want to deal with at all. I think he would be bordering on narcissistic, actually. I don't want to diagnose anybody. I'm not going to diagnose, but he would be bordering on some pretty gnarly emotional stability. That's not something that I would deal with on a regular basis. It would be a wild case study. It would be so wild. It would be. Hi. So, thanks for watching. Hopefully you made it all the way through here. There was something else I wanted to add to this discussion that I was kind of thinking about after I had pulled and recorded this entire thing. And that was, I had started the conversation about Rafayel and Caleb dealing with the same trauma in two very different ways. Rafayel has learned to heal from it, where Caleb has not, or at least that's the way that things are going with him, is that he's not healing from it in a very adaptive way, which I think is a really interesting showing of two different trauma, or two different ways to deal with the same trauma. which is very real life and human to deal with. But I was thinking about it with some of the other guys, and one that really kind of popped out to me was Xavier and Silus. I know I didn't mention Xavier much, and I did talk a lot about Silus in here, but I was trying to think about ways that maybe Xavier might want to, his walls, aside from him admitting to his jealousy or his, not understanding emotion, because it's very clear that Xavier doesn't understand emotion the same way a lot of people do, or at least he doesn't. He just has never experienced it in a productive way. It's very clear that the Philosians on Philos didn't show emotion, and so Xavier never really learned how to deal with his own emotions, being a very emotional person. But aside from that, I think that Xavier also, it's very clear that he doesn't want to lose MC. And I think him and Silus actually share that pretty closely. We did mention Silus stating that he, it would be really, really neat to see him on an emotional level to show and tell MC that he's actually very scared about losing her. And I think the same could be said for Xavier. I think it would be really interesting to show kind of how these two men deal with that sort of same fear in their own way. Because I feel like they could both deal with it on very different levels. I would have to think about how each one of them would have to deal with it, because I feel like on both levels it would be a very emotional statement to make for each of them. I think Silus, if I were to think about it, I feel like it would break him down quite a bit by saying it. And what I mean by that is I really think it would open up his heart a lot to what he deals with on a day-to-day, letting MC in to, he already tries to let MC into his world, but I think admitting that he's scared of losing her again, or maybe, I don't know if he'd tell her again, but telling her that he was gonna, afraid of losing her. I think it would be really interesting to see it, because I don't think that Xavier would be as emotional about it as I think Silus would be. Now, and what I mean by that is I think just Xavier would show his emotions just a little bit differently. I don't think Xavier has the capability. I don't want to even say that. I have a hard time believing that Xavier would get teary-eyed or emotional. Now, would I want to see that? Sure. I think it would be really interesting to see Xavier get that emotional. But I feel like he would show it in a much different way than what Silus would. And those are the kind of dynamics that I would really love to see in the future of this game, because I really think they're interesting case studies on how different people deal with different emotions and different traumas, and how each person responds to them. But that's just kind of a little added thing that I have for that I'd been thinking about. I didn't want to leave out Xavier because I really think that each of the guys just have their own kind of interesting way of showing these vulnerabilities that I'm really excited to see in the future. And thanks to Rising Tides, I really think that's super close to us being able to see these sort of things, being able to see these large declarations aside from the small pieces, like if we want to say they've already been opening up, yeah, Silus has been letting MC touch his face. Yes, Xavier has been mentioning more about the backtrackers. Yes, Zayne has mentioned about his, past, or talked about, different things that he knows, and Rafayel, doing all these little things. I think, again, Caleb, I think, still has a little bit more development to do, which is why I'm not ready to see him personally get like this emotional arc quite yet. But each guy has been able to show these little like tangible. I think that tangible is the correct word. These tangible ways of how they are starting to open up to her, but having it on such a deeper emotional level, I think would really, really enhance a lot of things, at least for me personally. But again, let me know down below what you think. I'd be interested in hearing what your theories, thoughts, and ideas are. I love this kind of stuff. Aside from doing like the literary devices and breakdowns, I'm love emotion. I've done a lot of research on it, so I love to discuss it. So let me know down in the comments what you think, and where you see this going, what you'd be interested in seeing from the guys as well. I think I'd be really interested in hearing that. But until then, thanks for watching, and as always, stay safe out there, hunters.